price action. And I really want to go ahead and cover what's happening with MicroStrategy. Well, strategy, Michael Saylor's strategy, because it definitely could impact the market. And this is going to be a very important date for you to have in your trading and investing journals, is going to be January 16th, 2026. And I'm going to explain exactly why. And things are getting a little bit hectic. So I've always kind of been a critic of MicroStrategy and strategy and, you know, a lot of their practices, because they essentially create these traditional financial products to sell on the stock market. They sell these, then they use those proceeds to buy more Bitcoin. So they're basically just printing money out of free air, which is kind of crazy, because retail, you and I, just regular normal people, which Bitcoin was created for, don't have that capability. And again, it's a true decentralized economy. Anybody can participate, but I don't have to like the way that they're participating. I think it's kind of, you know, it is what it is. I get everybody's here to make money. I'm with that. I want everyone to make money and to thrive. But at the same time, it's a little bit problematic to me. So let's go ahead and kind of talk about what's we're seeing in the market, and I'm going to explain to you what's happening with MicroStrategy and the MSCI and exactly what that is. We touched on it yesterday on the 10:30 a.m. daily live stream, but I wanted to talk about it again in a very more concise manner, because it's really important to kind of understand. So just a little bit of market update over here. So Bitcoin hit like $80,000 yesterday, which is really, really, really bad. I personally think that a nice little bottom area for us that we can kind of consolidate would be about $74,000, which, you know, neither here nor there. I'm not calling bottoms anymore. But we're currently trading at about $84,000. We're still red on the daily. As far as the crypto market cap goes, we are currently at 2.86 trillion, and we saw a swing look low, I want to say, of $2.92 trillion. Good morning, Lawrence. I know for some reason the alerts don't always show up on Saturdays. I don't know why. Anyways, but JP Morgan is attributing this to retail selling. They're saying retail is dumping. That's why numbers going down X, Y, and Z. But we all know in crypto that we generally have these cycles. And in addition to that, you know, there's, you know, we could argue if there's manipulation or not. But one interesting thing was that the Bitcoin spot ETF volume, that came in at a record high yesterday. ibit led the way at $8 billion, and the rest of the ETFs totaled $11.5 billion, which was a lot. It was the biggest record day ever for Bitcoin spot ETF purchases. Now, I want to remind you guys that a lot of the people that are selling Bitcoin, especially when it comes to the ETFs and whatnot, this is probably due to rebalance their portfolios based on their CPAs, attorneys, those types of things. Big companies do it all the time. But let's talk about MicroStrategy, all right? So if you weren't aware what's happened in MicroStrategy, the MSCI came in hot and was like calling a little bit of calling some issues about that, which is kind of crazy, because these are just other traditional financial entities that have these statuses and these titles that get to dictate what happens with the market. It's crazy. So the MSCI, or Morgan Stanley Capital International, is a financial services company that provides investment tools, data, and research. Most notably, it's widely used in stock market indexes. And they basically say whether to include or exclude a digital asset treasury company in the stock market. Good morning to Aloha. So we know MicroStrategy is public. It's listed in the stock market. Is it a trust? Is it a DAT? What is it? So basically they're saying we want to remove MicroStrategy because we don't think that it fits the standards. And Michael Saylor's like, no. But it's crazy because this is another traditional financial entity from Morgan Stanley. Really weird stuff. I digress. But basically, I'm going to do a recap. I'm going to explain to you what's going to happen on January 16th, or January 15th, January 15th. So Saylor says that strategy is not a fund or trust. He says it's a publicly traded operating company with $500 million software business and a Bitcoin-based treasury strategy. His response comes after MSCI launched a consultation on how to classify DAT. So basically, Morgan Stanley has no idea what's going on. And they're like, or there's not really classifications for these DATs, these digital asset treasury strategies. So they've got like no idea what's going on. So like, okay, all these popped up out of nowhere and we need to classify them. We need to see if they can trade on the stock market, even though they're already trading on the stock market. Hold on. MSCI creates stock market indexes to measure and track the performance of global and regional equity markets. They suggest that DATs, many may resemble investment funds more than operating businesses, because again, a lot of these companies, especially a lot of these altcoin ones, what they're doing is they are rebranding their businesses to buy Bitcoin or to buy crypto, put it on their balance sheets or on their as a treasury, and then continue to do that and issue stocks. That's not a real business. So MicroStrategy Saylor is like, hey, we are a real business. We are a real business, which is fair for MSCI to do that. But at the same time, these companies are already public. But it's also kind of shady because in the stock market, you can literally just like kind of rebrand and issue out a new stock, and that's okay. And this is why I talk out so highly about self-education, understanding what this stuff is. Thank you so much, Lawrence. I appreciate it. Thank you so much. And good morning to Mr. Dale. So, funds and trusts are ineligible for major MSCI equity benchmarks. So basically, they're like, Michael Saylor's like, hey, we're not this, we're a legitimate business. And MSCI is like, no, you're not, because you don't have a legitimate business. You're a treasury. And Michael Saylor's like, no. And if MSCI decides strategy fits a fund or trust classification, it could be removed from key equity indexes, which would be a market-moving event. Master is down 70% from the highs. So I went ahead and I did a little bit of additional research for you guys, talking about what would happen if Master was removed from these stock market indexes. It could cause, and this is according to Bitcoin Magazine and to Decrypt, forced selling pressure on Master could spill over to Bitcoin. Index inclusion would force ETFs and passive funds, Vanguard, BlackRock, to automatically sell Master shares to rebalance, creating a cascade of 2.8 to 8.8 billion in outflows. Master trades at a 2 times premium to its net asset value, NAV, tied to Bitcoin holdings. So this could depress the stock by 20 to 40% further. It's already down 43% past in the month. And again, this thing is like already done because again, the strategy's got like 4 or 5 different stocks. That's excessive. And people say crypto is a Ponzi. People say Bitcoin is a Ponzi. But when you really, really understand how the stock market works, you'll start to see some similarities. And again, everybody deserves access to the ability to make money. But it's all about grifting ethically and legally within the constraints of the law. And that's exactly what strategy is doing. Also, make sure to smash the like and share this, push this out. This is really important information. So basically, we have Morgan Stanley, MSCI, this other TradFi entity that gets to classify DATs and stock indices and all kinds of stuff, what's good and what's not. And they're looking at MicroStrategy now, which is the Bitcoin, one of the biggest Bitcoin holders ever in traditional finance, whether they're eligible to be on these certain lists. So it's just basically one entity saying, hey, we don't know if we like what you're doing, so we're going to remove you. It doesn't fit our standards, even though all of you guys went ahead and got listed under these standards, but we're going to go ahead and claw that back. That's basically what they're saying. So these people play dirty, very, 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 very dirty. And if MicroStrategy is no longer classified under MSCI, it can get removed, and it would force massive institutions like BlackRock and Vanguard and whoever else to rebalance their portfolios. Because again, all these guys are intertwined. Everybody's intertwined with each other, which could cause an even bigger drop with Bitcoin. And there's people out there that are calling $50,000, $35,000, $20,000 Bitcoin, whatever that is. I like to look at various levels of support and resistance to, see what's going on with price. But this is set to happen. They're set to have an answer January 15, 2026. So if they are deemed to be removed from the MSCI, then it's going to cause a lot of selling pressure. It could potentially cause liquidations because, again, they sell their stock to buy Bitcoin. And if the stock dumps, how are they going to have anyone to sell it to? So just food for thought this weekend. I want you guys to go to Investopedia, like Lauren said, go to Binance blog, start educating yourself on how these things work. There's multiple different articles, but it's very, very, very important to see what's going on with the market. Really, really, really important because it's getting a little bit crazy now that TradFi's entered in. And yes, they are better at manipulating the markets than folks in crypto. And again, everything is manipulated. So that could be another catastrophic event that could really, really catapult us into unseen level or not seen for a while levels of Bitcoin. No chance. Hey, I'm not saying that this is going to happen. I'm just saying this is something to pay attention to because MSCI can declassify that and whatnot. Oh, no worries, Lawrence. Sorry. Thank you guys so much for watching. Have a great rest of your morning. I'm going to go ahead and have a yam. And they're not a partner. I just send them over there. Bye, babies. Thank you.